Hey, welcome in the Bobby Carpenter Show. Hopefully, everybody is doing well, bundled up. If you're in the Midwest legs, it is chilly. We have got ourselves a nice little frothy amount of snow, and I guess a lot of it came in on Sunday night. Some of the, especially Southern Ohio was out for school. They got a lot. So I'm excited for you to get back to the farm to be able to see the beautiful snow that has just been draped all over your land.
Yeah, can't wait. Just checking the deer out on the trail cam pics, and there's just all this snow, and uh, it's beautiful.
They're hungry schlegs.
Beautiful.
They're looking for an
They got
arrow.
mineral licks out there. They got food out there. Like, have at it, boys and girls. Here we go.
Oh,
Nourish up.
yeah, that's perfect. Nourish up, get them bulky. I mean, are we still in bow season right now? I mean,
Yeah, bow season. I think honestly, archery in Ohio goes all the way to like mid-February, but deer start losing their antlers anywhere between the end of January through February, and then you go shed hunting in March and stuff, and it'll be really fun. But yeah, it's good. I'm excited. Just got done doing legs like my neighbor Frankie over here, Frank Mangiesi from New Jersey. We were in here
mm,
getting bumpy, just sharing stories. We did legs. It's Tuesday, Schleg Day, high volume of legs, 40 reps, 5 sets of 8 cluster set style,
ooh,
four reps, rest for 15, 4 reps. I just got to get some growth on there. That was a solid one. And then I just been working the armory all day. Going over my pet peeves, actually going
when you say
back and
growth, do you mean girth? Is that synonymous?
I just want it all, man.
Yeah.
I showers and growers, it doesn't matter. The unicorn is both. Honestly, can you
Okay.
imagine? So, and like my body's kind of weird proportion. Like my arms have always been the same. Like I just hollow out, but my body just looks the same, you know, bowling ball head, thick cylinder, pretty, good size, decent back. You always got to train the back. Like back just shows that you're somebody that's willing to get down. And then, you know, my ass always been pretty good. Now you got a huge ass there, Bob, but you still got to train it, right? And I'm just like, yeah, hit that thing, poke that thing, Steph. And it's
Because you
like,
don't
yeah,
want it
solid,
saggy, schlegs. It
solid.
needs to be firm. Like, dude,
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
super
thing.
firm.
I told like my kids, like, if you're
You can
built
knock on
like
that thing.
this, it's great, but it requires a high degree of upkeep. So
Yeah,
like literally keep it up, or else it's just
always
gonna
be
fall
training.
down.
Nobody
No one like
wants it saggy.
no, nast us all. That's awful, Strikes. No one
And
wants
no
that.
ass at all. And you know what though? Then throughout my day, I get in like little deals, right? Like little things that really juice
Mm,
me up. Um, for instance, we're talking about expectations of people that I manage, and one of those expectations that I have, this is real talk, and I expect it from my children. I get on them all the time about it, but it's one of my pet peeves, and I think it's part of again how I was raised. I mean, Metroflex Gym, guys went in there throwing shit all over the place. Now, again, if it's Ronnie, that's a little bit different. But I got some, you know, Slab Jake over there using 35s, unable to put his 35s back. Like, what in the Sam Dick? Like, put your weights back, right? And this doesn't go for the main gym, but just like people that I work with, like if there's something on the turf or there's something on the ground or if there's a bottle cap that you were chewing on that's in my driveway, pick it up. That's your job. Like, listen, I'm not a freaking nursemaid. But I'm going to pick it up because I respect it. I also pay the mortgage on this place. I expect our place to look nice. If you walk over something, there's a popsicle stick or there's weights on the bar that haven't been put up and you were the one working out, why can't you just put those back? You mean to tell me that you physically taxed yourself with 225 on squat, you soft ass, and you can't put that shit back? Not talking about our members. I'm just, a matter of fact, I'm talking about my kids. So it's like, you mean like you're not strong enough to physically do that? It's called GPP, little general physical preparedness. Put it back, right? Everything has a place in its place. Let's be organized because here's the deal. Everybody has a responsibility to keep it up. Not just mom, not just dad, right? Not just the janitor, everybody in the building. Everybody in the building. That stuff right there gets in my crawl because you think that you're better than that. Like your job is to only do this. Like that's my job. No, your job is to add value in every way, any way you can. That's your job, right? So when I get a little pushback on that, it gets in my crawl. And here's the deal: I'll straight fire your ass for it because if you don't have my mindset and my mentality and my give a shit about our members and the people that we serve are about this family, I'm going to get on you. Just how it rolls. How I roll, Bob.
Well, I like it, Shug. Some of my kids listen to this. I mean, I know that they're
It crosses everything. Because you know why? Here's the deal. Here's what I think it is. Throughout my life, coming from what I came from, which is not a lot, and my dad goes black, blue collar, corn fed, right? Treat your elders with respect. Like that's literally what, and then side nugget, don't take wooden nickels. But that being said, is I respect other people's things and I respect other people's time. You want to know why? Because I have no time of my own. Because I freely give it in service to others. But so I value other people's time and I know how precious that time is. And when you think that your time and you are better than somebody else, that's what gets in my crawl more than anything in of itself.
I love it, Slugs. I love it. I tell my kids, man. I tell everybody.
It's freaking Tuesday, baby.
It is. It's a Tuesday. Like if
Buckeyes, Friday.
It's the Friday for the Buck. Well, Thursday for the Bucks. If you see a problem, solve a problem. Be proactive. Don't walk by an issue and wait for the next guy. Go solve it yourself.
Yeah.
Gosh, just hammer that on anybody. Seth McLaughlin today asked me how Christmas was. I go, be honest with you, man. As a dad, kind of sucks. Like there's nothing there for you. I go, all I am is just basically an account number to make sure that everybody gets the presents they need and facilitates the opportunities and the memories for everyone else. So I sit there, I'm like, you know what I get for Christmas? I got what are the boots that you got
rapid
me?
Reboots, baby. You got rapid reboots.
And they're great. They're great. They're like Normatex to the next level, and they're fantastic. They're using them at the Woody today. And I said, I got those. What'd you get? I go, my wife got me those. But I got them for myself essentially. And the reality is, Schlegs, with all of this, like I'm going to probably use those third or fourth in our family because my kids will probably use them and they'll use them for recovery. So it's as much a gift for them as it is for anybody else. I got a Theragun a couple years ago. Great gift. My kids use it more than I do. I wish I had time to be able to use Theragun and sit there and do all this. I wish I had time to be in those boots right now, Schlegs.
You should do that while you do the show, Bob. That's
I don't know if I could get my leg. You want them elevated. And so I don't know if I could sit here with my legs elevated. I see the guys in there in the training room. And honestly, I look at those young players. I'm like, gosh, 20 years old, 21, really apexing life right now. And I try to tell them, and I try to have this conversation every year. I try to look at it with myself, the internal conversation of be grateful. It's impossible to be unhappy and grateful at the same time. Trust me, you always tell us that. But like, is it possible, Schlegs, that I've probably hit the apex of my life? Yeah, probably. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15. I'm not sure. There's other little mini apexes moving forward, but nothing to the degree of like the satisfaction of achieving an unbelievable goal that you've been working at for your entire life or being able to do this or do that. Like, okay, yeah, I could go travel, do some of that. Like my job. I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun. There's good stuff about it. Mike, but every great mountain that I've ever tried to summit, that's already been done. There's nothing left as far as personal goals or accomplishments. So, I could get my Theraguns, my Normatec boots, all this or whatever. What do they call it, Schlegs? The new
rapid reboots.
The rapid reboots.
But you know what, though, Bob? Listen. This is why we should have a show of just like dude stuff, like dude talk. Maybe that's another segment that we got. It's just super random. Listen, you know what I got for Christmas? I got this cowboy hat. And you know what? They were like, Dad, what do you want? And Hunter brought me those Let's Freaking Go 200 milligrams of caffeine like pouches,
Sounds
right? He's like, Dad, this will probably help you with stop doing so much nicotine. But here's what I told them what I wanted. I was like, I want more quality time from y'all. That's it. That's all I want. I want to play cards at night. Like I want uninterrupted, no phones, watch a movie, play cards. I just want more time. That's it. That's all I want. That's my Christmas present. I got this sweet hat. Boom. And here's the other thing, Bob. Like, let's not kid ourselves. When you're a dad, guess what? I charge that shit to winning all the time. If I'm on the Doomajink and I see a poncho flannel pearl snap and it's got my name written all over it, guess what I'm doing? Apple Pay. Like, what are you going to give me? Like, I already got it. If I see it right there, I'm getting it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I roll. Because the things that I want, they can't get it. Like, I want some new Glocks. I want a new over-under. I want a semi-automatic shotgun, right? Like, let's get another AR that's a little bit shorter barrel with a suppressor and just go out there and shoot some stuff. They can't do that, right? So I can. But it goes back to like Christmas, it's just that, again, I always tell them too, like the reason for the season is the God man Jesus, right? Like that's what we're
I get
celebrating. I
that.
know you
Like
guys like this
100%.
stuff.
I'm not trying.
I was like, I know you guys like this, but like, oh, and you would like this, Bob, when we went down to Texas, because like we do Christmas in both places.
Yeah,
I'm
2
constantly
Christmases.
talking about Christmases, plural. I'm like, listen, man, it's an attitude of gratitude. You be patient because there's a structure. It goes youngest to oldest. And like, you got to go through the ladder. Like, you better be patient, boy. Right. Like, more so to Sam, but they're juiced up and it's cool. But I tell you what, we got a big show. You got Bill Bender. You got the Buckeyes on Friday. You got, I don't know, what's the other game? Penn State, Notre Dame. That's going to be a good one. Those guys on Thursday. We got some great nuggets, Bob. I've seen you throw in the show sheet. I'm super excited to hear all your takes.
Oh, there's all kinds of fun stuff. Bill Bender, we're going to have AJ tomorrow. Working for Thursday, going to get that taken care of. Probably not do a show Friday on game day. We'll be down there running around. But AJ, they're going to do both the Orange Bowl with Penn State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Notre Dame. They're going to do that with the Pat McAfee Megacast. Then they're going to fly Schlegs out to the Cotton Bowl. So we'll get a chance. You got to get
AJ's flying them. AJ's the one that's literally going to fly them through the snow.
He is on his back. He converts into a hawk. He's like a mythical.
It'll be like what's that? Ace and Gary from Saturday Night Live, the ambiguously gay duo. But I mean, that'd have a huge team. That'd be a Eiffel Tower of dudes on AJ.
Yeah, 100% that. Schlegs, all I've ever said I wanted.
Paint that visual, everybody out there listening.
Of course, it's tremendous. Hey, listen, this is the theater of the mind, Schlegs. You're going to
one guy under. Well, the question would be, who's on the bottom? Is that Pat? What would be the pecking order sandwiched of AJ in the middle as the hawk flying? Somebody's got to be holding him underneath. Somebody's got to be on top, and then there's AJ in the middle. Somebody draw up that illustration. That would be quite comical.
Can I just tell you all I've ever wanted for Christmas, Schlegs? But for about the last 10 years.
Tell me. I want to know.
I just want for the people around me to be the very best that they can and care about their lives and their successes as much as I care about them. That's really it. Maybe a bow on my wife. Like those are the two things that I really want for Christmas. But that goes for everybody that I care about. Just go be the very best that you can. And when you do that, things will probably work out. Be intentional with what you want to do. Start the year off right. The Buckeyes hopefully starting their year. They already did start the year off right with Oregon. And now they got Penn State, Notre Dame, the winner of that, hopefully. And they will have Texas here in the Cotton Bowl on Friday night. Potential snow coming in down in Dallas. So we've got a lot going on. We got Bill Bender coming up next. Before we get to that, I want to tell you, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards trusted by professional athletes. They're designed by the NHL team dentists, so they're scientifically tested to absorb high-impact hits, protecting both your grill and your brain. They got 3 layers of advanced protection, including patent use of carbon fiber. They 3D
print right there.
Customize right to your grill, like Schlegs. He's pointing at it. He tells you for more protection, better performance, max comfort, clear communication, so you can focus on the game, not on the gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Go to exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. Bill Bender, the Sporting News, coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, welcome back in the show. We got our guy Bill Bender from the Sporting News, joins us every single Tuesday. We're incredibly appreciative for it. And despite the fact that, he's probably in the middle of 6 to 7 inches of snow, though you're a little further south than I am, how much snow did you end up getting?
Enough that I got the kids out in the driveway yesterday, and they, being the entrepreneurs that they are, they got in the neighbor's driveway and ended up shoveling that, and that neighbor Venmo'd us $20. So that was very appreciative of that, but not too bad. We're not buried in. I was a little surprised they didn't have school today, but they'll be back in school tomorrow. So it only took 10 minutes for them to get in a fight this morning.
Of course, yeah. Just coming off Christmas break, that's what you need is
Right.
more time off, more snow days. I know the further south you got in Ohio, got hammered down on the Ohio River. It was a solid foot, maybe a foot plus. So a lot going on there. So hopefully everybody's safe and get everybody dug out. Some news though, Bill, coming out. Like it looks like Dallas might be getting potentially some similar snow. They're talking 3 to 5 inches. I saw as much as 8. It could potentially be rain now. But that's coming in on Thursday, which could have a massive impact on the city and their ability to get people to and from the game. They do not really have snow removal equipment and salt trucks and everything else. The airports there are not quite as equipped to handle it. So is that something that people are kind of monitoring more nationally?
Absolutely. I had a college football writer, Trey Wallace, send me the radar this morning, and I'm like, boy, I hope they don't have to delay that game. I believe one of the years when they had the Super Bowl at Jerry World, they had a similar problem.
The first one in 2010 was when your beloved Packers were down there, Bill.
That's why I remember, of course, because it was going to impact the Packers. But, they ended up winning the game. I hope that we get to play this game on time. I really do think we will get to play this game on time. I'm surprised you guys didn't ban me from the show this week after I picked Oregon to beat Ohio State, a pick that was wrong 7 minutes into the game. I mean, I didn't think Ohio State, I will say this, I did not think Ohio State would lead the Rose Bowl 34-0, but what an impressive display they put on.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the deal. You weren't the only guy to do it. Ben Scott Stevens freaking picked Oregon, right? We love Ben. Like he makes you money. You picked Oregon. I'm not going to gloat, right, or give myself and Bobby flowers, but we picked every single freaking game because we just know ball and we know what the Buckeyes are doing, and I get that, all right. So, but we're just happy that you're here, Bill, and we appreciate the fact that you've instilled into your young people, right? Like the greatest responsibility that we all have in life is to raise our children, and you're raising them right. Though the neighbors still paid for it, they went out there and did it. So, and you didn't have to do it. But I have to switch back to my freaking mic. Pat, that's on you guys. I don't know. I deal with StreamYard shit. Anyway, State, Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman playing very much kind of Tressel-esque football. Got a quarterback throws from 90 freaking yards, and they win 23-10. And there's all the landscape of Indiana should have been in there, but yet also Indiana lost by less, had a less losing margin than Georgia did versus someone that shouldn't be in the conversation. That's neither here nor there. But how do you feel going into this game? Injuries for Notre Dame, some limitations of like threats on the outside from Penn State when they only got Waller, but he's a freaking dude. What do you think this matchup's going to entail for Marcus and James Franklin?
Well, I think Marcus Freeman, I mean, I wrote the Jim Tressel comparison. That's exactly what that game looked like the other night. You look at the score sheet, they made every field goal. They got the 10-point swing at the end of the half. They got the kick return to start the second half, and it felt like ball game from there. And they didn't turn the ball over, And so for Marcus, I mean, you guys know him much more than I do, obviously. He can't be that calm all the time. He seems so calm on the sideline, so just laser focused on that. I picture him getting more fired up in a different setting, I would hope. But what a great coaching job he's done. And now the challenge is with Penn State, I think they have to throw the ball more effectively in this game because Penn State will load the box, try to shut down that running game. I think they're going to have to win the turnover battle. They've feasted on turnovers all year. And they're going to have an answer for Tyler Warren on third downs. And whether that's Xavier Watts or a linebacker, whoever, that's the one player on this field that's different than everybody else, in my opinion. So, Going to be a fun game. You know what, Penn State, they have been really good up front on the offensive line in the last 2 games. 40 carries, averaging 40 carries, 5 yards a carry. There isn't a football team in America that wouldn't take that in those 2 playoff games.
Any worry about, their talented defensive end, Abdul Carter, Bill? Like he's been very impactful all year, not the biggest DN, but incredibly fast, high motor guy. He was in a sling after their last game. And I know James Franklin's kind of playing it close to the vest. How would his presence/absence impact how you viewed this game?
I think it's huge. And, they're being coy about his status. Whenever they're being that coy, you start to wonder, okay, is he really going to play? He is a huge difference maker up front. I thought their defense looked a little bit different when he was off the field against Boise State. Boise was able to throw the ball down the field a little bit. So for Notre Dame, again, it can't just be Riley Leonard running the football. They've gotten some good plays out of Jordan Faison. Of course, I'm going to plug lacrosse there. He's a really good lacrosse player too, and a good slot receiver for the Irish, and I think they'll use him in this game. But without Abdul Carter, that is a big loss. That is unanimous All-American, edge rusher, really big piece up front for them. They can still play, obviously, and you hope he plays, but I don't know. I think we'll find out on game time.
Here's the thing, all right, so key to this victory, I don't know your thoughts, but we saw Jeremiah Love, right, versus Indiana. He had the big one, 98 yards, and he only rushed for 10 yards after that. It all goes through Leonard. So the biggest thing is affect Leonard. What does Penn State have to do? Because Notre Dame's got a really good defense, veteran defense, something that we're seeing now in the college football playoff. What does Penn State have to do to be able to get a victory? Is it a steady dose of running, keep it 3rd and short, get Waller in the mix? Because we saw the game plan when they played us. It's where the hell is Waller in this mix? He's obviously been more involved, but what do they have to do? What takes more weight? The defensive side of the football, putting all the pressure onto Leonard, or on the offensive side of the ball?
I think they should come out aggressive and throw the football like they did against Boise State. They build that early lead. He hits Amari Evans on a deep pass. Drew Aller's throwing the football well. And Drew Aller's starting to generate some NFL draft stock conversations. He's already announced that he's returning to school, but now you're starting to hear rumors about maybe he goes in the 1st round, and he does have that NFL quarterback size. He has played better this year. Remember last year, the problem was inaccuracy against Ohio State, Michigan, Ole Miss. But let's be honest, and you guys know this, when NFL scouts look at the tape, they're not watching Drew Aller against Kent State. They're going to watch Drew Aller against Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame. So this is a big game for him in that regard. And I think I come out aggressive, throw the ball, try to get ahead. So I'm forcing Notre Dame to throw the ball a little more than they want to. And Schlegs, I'm wondering about Jeremiah Love. Mm-hmm. Is he healthy? He has not been healthy the last 2 games. And is he 100% for this game? Because they're going to need him.
Mm-hmm.
So, Bill, watching that Georgia Notre Dame game, I kind of said this coming in, I was suspicious of it. I thought that this was probably the best Notre Dame defense that I've seen, in my adultish lifetime, at least since I've been able to kind of conceptualize what I've been watching on the football field. So we're talking at least 25 years. And after watching them play Georgia, I feel like that kind of confirmed it. Their speed on defense, their size up front. Obviously, there's some injuries on the interior of their defensive line, but is this the best and most well-equipped Notre Dame defense as far as speed, size, all of those traits that you look at before, where when they're playing Alabama, it seemed like Alabama had a 12th guy out there. Now it seems when Notre Dame was playing Georgia, Bill, they were closing quickly. It seemed like they had a safety down and a safety deep. They had just an extra guy that you couldn't account for.
And you guys also know how to do this better than me, but when I watch a game on a TV, you watch how the line of scrimmage moves at the snap. And they call it push or whatever. Notre Dame was pushing Georgia's guys back. And they didn't even have Riley Mills in the game. And that was one of the worries going into the game. They don't have their best defensive tackle. He doesn't play, and they're still pushing that line of scrimmage back. And the reason I said that is when I watched them play Alabama in that BCS championship game with Monty Te'o, Alabama's guys were pushing Notre Dame 4 and 5 yards down the field, and Eddie Lacy was just walking through holes. So yeah, that is a huge difference maker. Xavier Watts is an incredible playmaker in the secondary, and they play very connected. They remind me of Ohio State, maybe not as much frontline, first round NFL type talent, but they're very connected on that side of the ball. And, it's not an accident in this playoff that 4 of the top 5 scoring defenses, Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas, Ole Miss was the other one, by the way, are all playing this weekend. And that tells you right there. You guys have to love that. The whole defense wins championship thing is starting to come true.
Well, it's offensive line, it's defensive line. Like the line wins, and we saw. You're absolutely right, man. Georgia got bullied by Notre Dame. Penn State bullied Boise, right? I mean, they've been rushing for over 200 yards a game right now, and so, but they have a good balanced attack, right? It's like 200 yards rushing, 234 yards passing. That's the biggest thing in this one. Notre Dame has to have, and again, in that Georgia game, let's not kid ourselves. Like they put themselves behind the 8 ball, trying to push it downfield. They got a turnover late, scored. Then you come out and you run a special teams back, scored, right? That's 14 points. It's 23, isn't it? Right? Like, what are we talking about? The game was kind of closer than it was, but they need the turnovers. They need a big play. In this, like, that's because they have no passing game. And if you put it all on Riley Leonard, the defense has to really step up for him. So who do you got in this matchup?
Pick Notre Dame 23-20. I don't feel great about it because I think Penn State is the way they're playing, especially on the offensive line and running the football with Singleton and Allen. If I'm them, I'm content. I try to get a quick touchdown, bang it with those guys 30 to 35 times, hit Tyler Warren a couple times across the middle and hope that he catches a touchdown. And I do think this is a 23-20 type game either way. The kickers will matter a great deal. And Jeter for Notre Dame, he struggled in the regular season with 6-12. It's been on fire in the playoff. So, I really could see this one coming down to a walk-off field goal. When this series was played a lot more when I was younger. I remember the one game in the snow where, Reggie Brooks caught a 2-point conversion. Notre Dame won the game. So it should be a lot of fun seeing these two go at it. It's been a long time coming.
Really has. I saw a thing where they were the first official whiteout. I thought that was us, but I'm going to have to go back and research that a little more, Bill. Before we take a break and get to Ohio State, all 4 of these coaches would be first-time national champions. Like, who do you give the edge to as you look at this? They're all, I guess, James Franklin's had a job before this. So has Sark. But you look at Marcus, you look at Ryan, both first-time coaches at their school. Like, how do you kind of handicap this since there is no Saban, there is no Dabo, there is no Kirby, like you don't have Urban Meyer, like there is no veteran guy who's been established and had a lot of success.
Well, Day's coached in this round a couple times though, against Clemson and against Alabama in a title game, and he's had that experience. And Sark has now too. Sark was here last year against Washington, so I think those two kind of have the advantage in that they've been here time after time. Sark as a coordinator at Alabama, Day in both roles with Ohio State. So this stage isn't going to, they know, I think they also know the routine of the game week, the media appearances, the demands on the schedule. And that's important because as you guys know, and I know, when you get down at this event, it's very structured, very regimented, and you are in front of the camera a lot. And it's almost like I want to get out on the sideline. Just getting to the game is the hard part. Once you're in the game, that's probably the easy part. You just go out and play.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got more with Bill Bender in the sporting news coming up next. All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. I'm with our guy, Bill Bender, the Sporting News. He does a great job there. Go check out all of his stuff online. Plus, you can follow him on X at BillBender92. And Bill, this Ohio State-Texas game, I mean, first of all, the CFP, ESPN, they've got to be fantastic. You have 4 of the biggest brands that you were going to find in college football. I mean, Alabama, Georgia, notwithstanding, you could throw in Oklahoma, USC, but I mean, you get to the pot, Bill, like when you're pulling out the elite ladle dips, like you got 4 of them right here in Ohio State and Texas being 2 of the best. Kind of both of these teams appear to be pretty healthy coming in. You've got the Quinn Ewers tie a little bit back and forth. Do you think the tight game with Texas against Arizona State and the double overtime thriller that they had, do you think that works to their advantage? Do you think that works to a detriment? How do you kind of see that them coming into this?
I think an advantage that they survived, basically. You know, he makes the 4th and 13 throw to Golden for a touchdown, which if you watch the replay, it's like, did that ball squeak out of there? It was a great throw by Quinn Ewers just the same. But I think when you have that new life that they had and pushed to the brink, that should help them in this game. And to your point, I mean, this is a game where, according to 24/7 Sports, you look at the rosters, there's 32 guys on this field that had a 5-star recruiting ranking. I didn't even add, I can't add that high with 4 stars on top of it. I mean, the amount of NFL talent on this field is going to be incredible. And those are my favorite games to watch because you can see how fast it is. And both of these defenses have really good players. That edge rush for Ohio State against the Texas tackles will be fun to watch. And well, there's this guy, Jeremiah Smith, that we're starting to talk about being the number 1 pick this year, and he still has 2 years of college left. He's really been the story of the playoffs, the way he's played in the last 2 games. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this. First off, was Quinn Ewers talking shit? I heard something about that. Is he saying that?
I didn't play the video, but I was wondering if it was AI or not. So it's one of those where
know.
like
this AI stuff, Bill, is crazy for us guys that know nothing about technology and the Google machine and the Twitterverse and AI. It's blowing my mind. Here's the thing that I got about Texas. Just again, not talking shit, but you had Clemson down and you let them hang around, right? You had Arizona State down. You let them hang around. Your losses this year, the 2 games to Georgia, you didn't rush for 100 yards, right? The running game, boom. Right? This last game versus Arizona State, rushing 55, 60 yards. Like, what the hell are we talking about? They haven't scored a touchdown in 6 games in the 3rd quarter, Bill.
Right.
These are facts, right? And you look at how fast Ohio State is playing and how violent they're playing. Like, these things to me bode well. So with all of that being said, where's the secret sauce for Texas to have a chance versus Ohio State in this game?
Well, Texas, if they can't run the ball, they're going to be in trouble because
because Indians effing ass, right, Bill?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, if they can't, they do get Cam Williams back, I think, and that's going to help them. If you can't run the ball in big games, you're not going to win. And we talked about that with Penn State and Notre Dame. If Ohio State can shut that down, they'll force a couple mistakes from Quinn Ewers. And to your point, I mean, the last time I think we saw Texas play a complete game, I was there. It was week 2. They played Michigan. They carved them up pretty quickly, and they did it on both sides of the ball. And Michigan had all their defensive guys out there, but it didn't matter. And that was probably Quinn Ewers' best game of the year. Mm-hmm. So if you can't let him get hot because they do have good receivers too. They had 4 receivers average 16 yards a catch. They've got a pretty good tight end in Gunnar Helm. They do have pieces on that side of the ball, and I like their defense, you know. But for Texas, if you're them, the game plan off the go is you better survive the first quarter because Ohio State's outscored their last 2 opponents 35-0 in the first quarter.
So they come out firing, and it's been pretty impressive for a team that maybe hadn't started fast towards the end of the season. However, Texas started incredibly fast against Arizona State. When I watched these Texas games, Bill, outside of the Michigan game, which I think may have been the apex of their season, they looked like world beaters. It's almost like, Bill, you're watching 2 teams at times. There's times where you see the first couple minutes that you saw against Arizona State, and then there's times where you see a team that looks like meandering around and kind of lost. They can't really run the ball and disjointed play calling, and defensively they keep them in it. But offensively, they don't look near as coherent as they do. And then you know what? Then they'll put together another 2 drives, score a couple more touchdowns, and then the game is in hand and it looks good. But it doesn't really feel like they've been kind of clicking on all cylinders the last half of the year.
They haven't, and that's the difference. Ohio State has lulls too, but they're shorter. they seem shorter to me. Even when they have a game like the Indiana game where a couple series you're like, well, what was that? And then they get back on track pretty quickly. So yeah, the consistency's been a thing. And for their defense has been good, but they had a big blip in that Arizona State game where Cam Scatterbo was the guy that I'm going to remember from that bowl game. It's not going to be a Texas guy. It's going to be Cam just going off and nearly single-handedly leading his team to victory. So we'll see if that run defense holds up. I'm really interested to see Texas's secondary. Jahdae Barron's really good. Kuba's good. How do they hold up against the Ohio State receivers? Because Will Howard has been dealing, down the field, not afraid to throw the ball down the field. And I got to say this, the first touchdown to Jeremiah Smith, the play design was ridiculous. I wish I would have had that one in flag football a couple years ago. I think I would have used it.
But you know what's crazy about that, Bill, is we ran that exact same play 3 times and it was to a tight end. Remember that, Bob? Earlier in the season, right? All we did was we window dressed some stuff and we used Jeremiah to be the guy, right? Because we caught him in man coverage and he came underneath. We did that with a tight end as opposed to going out and like slow playing it, right? He came behind the line of scrimmage. But we've also used that on the run where they go in and they block too. So Chip's been doing a really nice job. We got 2 more minutes. Here's the deal. What does Ohio State, like, first off, what matchup of this game gets you frothy, right? And then what does Ohio State have to do to win this football game, and what's the score at the end?
Ohio State, their running game came along in the second half too. Travion looked like Travion. Quinshad Judkins physical. That offensive line is meshed too. They've figured it out, so that's good. I mentioned the tackles earlier. When you have Kelvin Banks, he's a Lombardi Award winner. If you're Jack Sawyer, this is your NFL tape. Cam Williams on the other side. If you're JT Tuimoloau, this is your NFL tape right here. On 3rd and 8, who wins those battles between those 4 guys? That's going to be fun to watch. And then Ewers throwing against this secondary. Does Caleb Downs make that game-changing play in this? There's so many good, talented players on this football field. I can't emphasize that enough. I hope they play it on Friday. I'm going to get it right this week, so you can't ban me. I got Ohio State winning 31-21. Now, both of these teams don't give up a ton of points. I think it might be tighter early, and we actually have a football game this time into the 4th quarter, but it's hard not to pick Ohio State in this one. And then we get Ohio State and Notre Dame in a national championship, and the Lancaster, Ohio Fisher Catholic kid here. My phone, I might have to turn it off between all the Ohio State and Notre Dame fans I know. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a blast. And I like your scores on both of those because I don't think either one of these games, the point total is going to probably crack 60. I like that Penn State, Notre Dame, right? Like you said, low 40s. It's Ohio State and Texas game, probably right around 50, maybe low 50s there. Kind of classic football matchups. Before we get you out of here, Bill, we talked a little bit about Georgia, and you cover the sport nationally. You're from the state of Ohio. You're from outside of Columbus. SEC has one team that's in the in the college football semifinal, and it's a team that just joined the conference within the last year. Alabama looked very human this year. Georgia, like you talk about Carson Beck, I thought Gunnar Stockton played as well as Carson has played all year, maybe even a little better. I don't want to say it's the demise, but what do you think has been the leveling out or the balancing of power that I think that we've kind of seen here this year?
Well, you could say NIL's part of it, and it is, in the portal. And for the SEC, I think part of it is Nick Saban retired.
Yeah.
So Alabama isn't the machine. You have to rebuild that machine. I think Georgia has had a lot of comings and goings through the program, and Kirby has some things to fix. Now, I'll give them a little bit of a free pass playing with a backup quarterback, but I thought Gunnar Stockton played well. He wasn't the issue in that game. So, and the interesting thing, and I probably need to dig into this more, as somebody that's covered it with Sporting News for a while, I've wrote plenty of January 1st Big Ten gets massacred columns for us over the years. And I think in this new age where teams feel more like NFL organizations, Ohio State, stable foundation. Michigan, they have good NIL there, and they're willing to spend now. Penn State and Notre Dame, classic programs, got a lot of money behind the program. And I think all 4 of those, it's been a while, probably since you guys were playing, maybe before that, where we could safely say that all 4 of those programs, which I probably write about the most, are quote unquote right at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a lot of fun over the next 5 years or so watching Notre Dame, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. And if Nebraska ever got their act together, we'd have a 5th one.
I think that was the dream for the conference when they
Right.
added Nebraska, to put them in and have another team with historical prominence there in the North. Bill, we appreciate it. We kept you way too long today, sir. Enjoy the rest of the week. Hopefully, we don't have to dig out any more for a while. I heard there might be a little bit more snow coming this weekend. Are you going to be down at the game, or will you be in Florida? Are you going to go into Atlanta? What's the travel for you here?
I'm staying back this week so I can see both, but I will be in Atlanta next week, and hopefully you guys are too, and we can get together and get to it. Maybe in Ohio. Like I said, if Ohio State and Notre Dame are down there, I'm not allowed to say that, I don't think, but I wouldn't complain. I think it'd be amazing.
I don't think ESPN and ABC would complain either. I think you probably draw about the biggest ratings you were probably going to find. Well, thank you, Bill. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have some great games this weekend, and then we'll talk again next week, sir.
Hey, sounds good. Thanks so much, guys.
See you, Bill.
So, Bill Bender, the Sporting News. He's one of the best. Coming up next, we got our headlines on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right, welcome into headlines here on the Bobby Carpenter Show, and let's toss this one up here. Pat, get right to it by my man Jeff Schwartz, who's been on the program. I was trying to get him on last week. It just didn't work out timing-wise. But this was pretty interesting that he threw this out here. And I think it's important to understand, Dan Lanning's a good coach. Ryan Day is a good coach. There are a lot of good coaches, and there's only 2 coaches right now that have won national championships coaching in college football. So I might not on social media preaching patience, which no one ever wants to do. It took years as a head coach in the FBS before winning a title. Harbaugh was 13 years. Kirby Smart, 6 seasons. Nick Saban, 10. And both Jim and Nick obviously had some NFL stops in between. Ed Orgeron, 7 seasons. Dabo Sweeney, 8 seasons. It's been remarkable to kind of see that transformation, like of some of these guys. And Lanning's in his 3rd year, Ryan Day's in his 6th season. Like patience like is out the window. But I think it's a very important message to understand, not just for the Oregon fan base, but like when Ohio State fans see this, when you see this at Notre Dame fans with Marcus, James Franklin's been at Penn State for a long time. This is the furthest they've gone. You look at Sark on his 2nd program, like winning isn't an overnight thing. It's a process thing.
They don't know shit about winning. Here's the thing. This is society. This is society. Tolerance has gone down and expectations have gone up, right? That's very simple, right? You think about this, man. Like back in the day when we had the old flip phone, and I'm using that one, it was the walkie-talkie that you could drop out of a tree stand, and it could literally sit there in water for like 5 hours, pick it up, shake it off, right? And you go, but like you didn't even have any service, like, or you're somewhere and you didn't have cell service. You didn't even bitch about it. You just drove. You know what I mean? Or you're on an airplane and the Wi-Fi goes out they didn't have Wi-Fi back then. We just read books, or you had a Game Boy, maybe, if you were lucky. But tolerances have gone down. The expectations of people have gone up. And again, I go back, fan is short for fanatical. People are fanatical about their teams, their brands. The expectations are extremely high. But I don't think fans truly grasp all the inner workings of what is transpiring in this short window of NIL transfer portal and the disservice that the NCAA did for collegiate athletics and especially college football by having no balls. and no game plan whatsoever. No whiteboards, no monsters, no ability to drop their sack and attack, right? Just soft, gooey shit. So that being said, we're in this mix where you have multiple things going on at the same time. And I think that Dan Lanning is putting a hell of a program together. The foundation is there. I believe Ryan Day, and there's a lot of us out there that have in and around the program that see the things that sustain, that survive, that allow programs to be sustainable, and that is their culture. And it is there at Ohio State. I think that Marcus has it at Notre Dame because they embody him. I think that Stark is starting to get that. I don't know their culture or whatever that is there. And you look at even Penn State and James Franklin, we can say all the things that we want about the big games, but let's not also kid ourselves. The dude's doing it with less talent as well. Some of those programs aren't going to meet that expectation because they have to do a better job of developing their players, keeping them there for sustainability to be able to have a very veteran team to be able to go out there and produce. So with all that being said, tolerance is down, expectations are up. It's a great job by Jeff, even though he spells his name with 2 Fs, which is absolutely crazy. And a G. Yeah, G off, right? I mean, who doesn't like that? Like me
off, which is your favorite. So
anyways, the best. But I totally agree with his sentiment.
All right, final one here in our headlines. Ohio State Schlegs. It's been a while since they've grabbed a holding call.
It has, Bob. It has.
And you try to figure out, like, gosh, when was the last one? When was the last time that a holding call happened? Poof, David Copperfield Schlegs. Ohio State hasn't had a holding call. We can toss that up there, Pat. Since September 21st. Who are they playing back then, Schlegs?
Marshall.
They're playing the Marshall Thundering Herd. It has been, I think that was the 3rd game of the year. They've played what now? 14 games, I believe. So it's been 9 games.
We're going into week 15.
Yeah, single holding call, man. It has been absolutely crazy to see that with how this D-line is playing. And we've got stuff and pictures of Jack and video of like him getting held. I mean, Jack's played like almost 1,700 snaps since he's got a holding call. But it's wild to see. The guys are playing through it. You can complain about it, but I always say what Fick used to tell us, Schlegs. Unless they throw a flag, it's not holding.
It's not holding. Yeah, no doubt. You got to make him do it. And I would say this, Jack's played 168 something snaps, no holding penalties. God, they've been letting him play. So guess what? Get their freaking hands off you. Like what's your second move? Like break his thumb. Break his freaking thumb. Right? Snap his elbow. Do it with violence. I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, do what you got to do.
Absolutely. Here we got a little shot of Jack getting held around the edge. Oh, all right. Well, maybe not. All right. Coming up. There we go. You got Jack right here. You can get that running. Oh, he's scrolling through there. Just getting on the top of the screen. He's just getting engulfed. Oh, like a little neck hug right there. So Jack obviously getting done. All those guys doing a great job getting pressure. All right, coming up next, we got Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. We're going to answer your questions. Still plowing through some of the responses from the post-game tweet. We've got some good stuff that we'll break down here next on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
All right, now we got our Tailgate Talk brought to you by our friends over at Real Truck. Schlegs, outfit your truck, your Jeep, your Bronco. They got accessories for the inside, the outside, everything you need, whether it's mats on the floor, seat covers. They've got cover tops for your Jeep, bed covers, winches, brush guards, bumpers, everything, all coolers. They got everything for you. So go check them out at realtruck.com. And here you go. We still got the offer. If you spend $100, use promo code Bobby at checkout, you get the free Real Truck hat, which is absolutely tremendous. Great value there. So easy to spend. So go check out our friends at Real Truck and bring your truck to life at realtruck.com. All right, Schlegs, we got some tailgate talk here brought to you by our friends at Real Truck. Kurt Feldner threw his tweet out for my tweet last week. Said Ryan Day looks solemn in almost every published pregame appearance. Do you think he was nervous, or was it to hide his resolve and confidence, disarming and fooling the Ducks?
Yeah, what are you disarming and what are you trying to fool? I just think he's like calm and collective. And when you're articulating, what your team is doing, and you're also paying respect to the other team and not giving billboard material and speaking around the questions, because you're never going to answer those directly, because why be authentic with people that have their own opinion regardless of what is actually true or not? You're going to act like that. You're going to be just like this, man. And you know what, though? Like, we talked about Marcus, and Bill brought this up. Tressel was like that, right? Fick was like that. On the sideline, the games are for us. Like, you want your head coach to be steady Eddie, but you also want to be emotional when good shit happens, or to get in somebody's ass a little bit. But like, they need to be like this, because the game's for you. All the preparation has been done before the foot hit the ball, right? So let's go execute. Let's adjust. Let's attack and adjust with poise. That's what the games are all about.
All right, and then final one here coming from Thomas Bibbs.
Ooh, Bibbs.
Yeah, down near the bottom. What impact is Maurice Claret Schlegs having on the coaching staff and players? Former teammate of ours.
You know better than I would.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and Ryan's addressed it, like his presence being around there, his impact on the running back room, with what he's been able to do, his conversations. And, it's funny, like everybody wants to be real critical about the situation, especially former players, until they go and watch it and see how the guys work, see what the coaches are about. And as soon as you see it's like all of a sudden, like, wow, they work as hard, if not harder and they're far more focused and mature than players were 20 years ago. And so
yeah,
I think Maurice's appreciation for that, the way he's enacted, engages with the guys, he's a very passionate guy. He's an emotional guy. He's a friend of ours. And I think he's doing I think his impact is positive, or else Ryan wouldn't have him around. And so
what I like, go ahead. Yeah. You want me to say something?
No,
what I like about it is the fact he's been to the side.
Yeah.
Here's my biggest thing. You guys got to remember, I coached in the program, former player, also very cognitive or very conscious of what is the ulterior motive of other former players that want to be in the building. Because it's like trespassing, honestly, but you say not trespassing, but like, you're not in there going to work every single day like all the other coaches are, or all the players, right? Like, but you get to go hunt on my land and then go talk shit in the social media, or think that by your presence you could actually make an impact. There's a lot of former players out there that think they could, but what's the ulterior motive for him? I look at Maurice, I think he has the right motive, and it is to be there. He's to be there for somebody to talk to. You have two guys, and him and Coach Locke, very similar upbringings. And you have Trey and Q. How does he resonate? Hey, Coach Day, what are you seeing? Like, if Coach Day asked, being able to be there and see what actually he says, but also being able to articulate on the social media platforms as to the seriousness in which our guys handle their business top down. And so I appreciate that he's in there. I also appreciate Ryan for extending that to say, hey, man, why don't you come? Like, very candidly, like, he doesn't have to do that. Just so everybody knows, Ryan Day does not have to do that for every former player.
Yeah.
I'm just letting everybody know.
Oh, because you got to understand.
I worked there, Bob.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
I want to bless you with this. I'm going to give you some flowers. People don't know that, like, oh, you just helped the program. Bob helps these dudes in recruiting now. Like, he's a professor at the Fisher College of Business. He talks, like, what are their majors? Find it. Oh, boom, Bobby, can you do this? Give up your family time and come up here on your own and talk to them. Right? Can you be around this event? Hey, can you help us line up this with this profession? Bob does that stuff, just so everybody knows. I just want to throw that out there, Bob.
I appreciate it. It's just the one thing with former player, like, it's not about you, it's about the current guys. And that's why I always love, like, Vrabes being around, Joey, Fick, like Ryan Miller, all those guys that would always come back. They know, like, it's not about you. Like, your time is done. Like, it's about the current guys and their success. And so as long as you keep the main thing, it's all good.
All good.
We got a couple big shows coming up the rest of this week. We're going to wrap this show up here. Some parting thoughts from our guy, Anthony Schlegel, coming up next.
Get the most out of work, life, and all your outdoor adventures with top-selling upgrades for your truck. Guaranteed fit, free shipping, Easy install, expert support, and thousands of dealers just a click away. Bring your truck to life. Real Truck. Upgrade today and save between $50 and $400 on select Real Truck products. Visit realtruck.com/specials.
All right, Slugs. Let's wrap up the show.
Boom, wrap it up. Big Ten, Girthy. Hey, listen, throw that up there, Pat. So ASU's head coach, Kenny Dillingham, stopped his players from leaving the field to shake hands with Texas. He went in. He had a press conference about it. He's like, no, listen, this is what you do. This is called sportsmanship. You're going to have successes. You're going to have wins. You're also going to have losses. Like, being able to go up there, look somebody in the eye and say, hey, man, good freaking game. Hey, you got me. Awesome. Hey, go get them. Like, go win the whole damn thing. That's sportsmanship. I don't know where this has been lost, right? Again, the emphasis is like every single time you want to go out there, you want to put yourself to the test. That's why winning and losing is critical. But you also have to understand how to lose with respect, right? Because if not, you're just like you're a piece of shit, right? Who wants to do business with that? Doesn't mean you don't learn from it. Doesn't mean you go work from it. But these are life lessons, man. And as a coach, you are the steward. You are the caveat of helping developing these young people, regardless if you're in college, regardless if you're in high school, regardless if you're in Pop Warner. Do this. Make them go over there, shake hands. Don't talk shit. Look them in the eye. Go around, celebrate together, talk about it together if it's a loss, and move forward. Good job, Coach.
Buckeyes, love it, man. Like, the best thing I love about my kids wrestling, you shake your opponent's hand beforehand. After the match, you kick your butt. They kick your butt. You shake it up. You go shake the opposing coach's hand. You walk off the mat. You want to cry. You want to do whatever. That's all good. But you're going to show some respect. Well, that's it for this edition of the Bobby Carpenter Show. Stay locked in. Tomorrow, 12:30, we'll be back as we continue to preview the game. Our guy, AJ Hawk, will be joining us as well. See you then.